Boom. Let's play. All right, so you've been sitting around at the family reunion, or maybe you're at one of your friends' cookouts or something, and everybody's playing spades and you don't know how to play. Well, guess what? I'm gonna teach you. That's what I'm here for. So we're gonna start with a very simple crash course. This is the W.A.S.S.U.P Spades Tutorial, Spades Ultimate Playbook. I'm gonna teach you from beginning to end how to play spades. So whether you've never played before or you're kind of familiar with the game, but you wanna get your skills up, that's what I'm here for. That's what these videos are for. So tune in, make sure you like, share, subscribe for anyone who doesn't know how to play or anyone who you think needs to, work on their skills a little bit. So let's dive in. Boom. So with these videos, I'm gonna be, bringing out a whole bunch of different decks and things. So I got the Deadpool deck. I got the Star Wars deck here. It's pretty fancy. And then I got this clear deck here. This one is gonna be something I use later on, but not right now because I don't know how it's gonna show up on camera. So we're gonna start with the Deadpool deck. It's nice red color. Should be pretty easy to see everything that I'm doing. So that's what we're gonna go with for today and for this little crash course. So make sure you stay locked in. Let's get started. It's nothing like opening a fresh new deck of cards. All right, so we're gonna get rid of that. Open this. Like I said, this is the crash course. I'm gonna have a more detailed breakdown of how to play the game at a more advanced level on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram. But for this is the crash course. This is to get you started. So if you want to get your foot in the door, if you want to be able to at least sit down at the table, this is the video for you. I'm always looking for cool playing cards to collect. Deadpool, I'm a big comic book fan. If you're someone who follows me and you know about my other pages and you know I'm an author, I'm a comic book writer and things like that. I'm a huge comic book fan. Really like Deadpool and that whole series. He's a dope character, but I just want to kind of show some of these cards. King of Spades, Cable. Pretty cool. I think all the aces are some form of Deadpool. That's pretty cool. I don't know who this is. Who is this? Y'all let me know. If y'all know in the comments, let me know. Oh, this is, gosh, in Deadpool 2. It was Brad Pitt's character that got electrocuted in Deadpool 2. That's funny. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. That's pretty dope. Colossus. Domino. We need to see more stuff with Domino. Like I think she would be a dope character to have like her own spin-off series. Another ace with Deadpool. The Jokers also have Deadpool. Sorry. That's fire. Like all of these are fire. I think this one might be my favorite. Jack of Spades, Juggernaut. The Joker, Deadpool. Yes, I'm gonna be collecting his blind roommate. Yeah, that's dope. So I'm gonna be collecting different cards. So yeah, if you want to submit, boom, look at that Wolverine. Wolverine's one of my favorite Marvel characters. He's actually, so Wolverine is my second favorite hero of all time. But the second favorite spot is kind of like really, really tight between him and Spider-Man. This one is interesting because it's the Suicide King. King of Hearts, Suicide King. So He's stabbing himself in the ear with one, and then, oh, yeah. Those are dope. All right. All right, so first, let's get started. Ooh, these are pretty cool. Boom. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our deck ready. So in order to play spades, and we're gonna go with the stereotypical African-American way to play spades. So, you know, you black, this is what you'll be familiar with. If you're non-black, you may not be familiar with this, but that's okay. I can teach you these rules too. You know, I'm sharing a little bit of how the sausage gets made. All right, so first thing about how you play spades in a black household is it's played with 52 cards. So first thing you need to do is make sure you got the right amount of cards. So this is a brand new deck, and this deck has 54 in the initial open up. So as soon as you open it up, it's gonna have 54 in it. That 54 is because you're gonna have 2 jokers, which are, you know, cards that you're gonna need. So the game is played with 52, meaning you need to get rid of 2 cards. So typically, the way we're gonna play to keep things simple, we're gonna get rid of the 2 of hearts, and we're gonna get rid of the 2 of diamonds. All right, so those 2 cards you could take, set aside. We're gonna put them inside of our box. We're not gonna throw them away, but you know, we're not gonna be using them for this game of spades, all right? So, how do we play spades? Well, the game of spades is played with 4 people. So you need 4 people to play, and those 4 people are broken up into teams of 2. So you and a partner, and then your opponent and their partner, all right? So it's broken up into 2 teams of 2, 4 people needed to play, all right? Everybody is gonna get 13 cards, all right? So if you're not good with math, 13 times 4 is 52. So 52 cards, everybody's gonna get 13. If everybody does not have 13, that is what is known as a misdeal, but we'll get to that later on. Let's start with the basics for right now. So we're gonna start with just how you get started with the game. So we've already gotten rid of the 2 cards that we need to get rid of. Now we're just gonna do a simple deal, and I'm gonna show you what that should look like. So first, and this is a fresh deck, so it may look a little wonky at first. We gotta break these cards in. Woo! See, cards sliding all over the place. We're gonna break them in, shuffle them up real good. All right. So the arrangement for spades is going to be you. Assume that you are sitting where I'm sitting. Your opponent is going to be to the left of you. You're going to have your partner straight in front of you, and then you're going to have your other opponent to the right of you. So it should be alternating team combinations, okay? Sitting around the table. So you and your partner won't be sitting next to each other, and the person that you're playing against, or the team you're playing against, they won't be sitting next to each other. You're going to be playing side by side, you're going to be playing across from each other, not side by side. All right, so we've shuffled our cards, at least good enough for our crash course. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pass it to the person to the right of us, and they're going to cut, okay? So by cut, it's very simple. The person that's cutting, all they're going to do is just break the cards and put the cards back together, all right? It shouldn't be a full shuffle. It should typically be just one breaking of the cards and then putting the cards back together. All right, so now we're gonna actually do our actual deal now. So what dealing should look like. Most people don't want to see cross dealing, which is where you're dealing and everybody's going every which way, right? To keep things simple, because this is a crash course and we're trying to get you on the table, I'm just going to show you a basic deal. So you're going to start with the person to the left of you, then you're going to go across from you. You're going to go to the person to the right of you, and then deal yourself. So it's going to go in a circle, all right? It's going to go clockwise. You're going to be the last person to receive a card, and which means when you're dealing the cards, you should be the last person to get a card. If you're not the last person to get a card, then there's a high chance that you misdealt. Now, what is a misdeal? We said we were going to talk about that, and we are going to talk about that. A misdeal is when somebody didn't get the appropriate amount of cards needed to play a spades hand. Okay? So I got the last card as I was supposed to. This is a proper deal. So everybody would have 13 cards. And that's how we're going to start this game off. All right, so come back to me. Let's look at my face. All right. So the game of spades is a pretty simple one, even though people try to make it seem like it's more complicated than this. It's not really that complicated. The first thing you need to know is you need to understand what suits are, okay? So now that we've got our cards in our hand, we need to know what we're looking at, all right? So before we do anything, as soon as you get your cards, the first thing you want to do is organize them. So as you see, these are not organized. I picked them up exactly as they were dealt to. We need to organize these. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our suits, and the suits are the different combinations. If you've never looked at a deck of cards before, then you may have absolutely no idea what you're looking at when you're playing spades. You're like, hey, this all looks kind of crazy to me. I have no idea what this stuff is. I'm trying to learn though, and I don't want people to scream at me because I don't know what they're talking about when they're using certain terminology, certain lingo, when they're talking about things. So I'm going to teach you. Like I said, this is a crash course. We're going to give you the basics. We're going to give you everything that you would need to sit down at a spades table. And don't mind me not looking at the camera right now. I'm focused on something, and once I finish doing this, I'll be able to give you my full and undivided attention. But, all right, so let's get back to what we're talking about. Right? So first thing, we need to understand some of the vernacular that is going to be used when you're playing spades. So one of the important things to know is what are suits. You'll hear people say play on suit, off suit, what suit was played, what suit led. What is a suit? So there are 4 suits on any deck of cards. The first suit is going to be clubs. I say first because it's the first one that I picked up and not because it has any type of hierarchy or anything like that. Second suit, diamonds. Third suit, hearts. And the last suit, in the namesake of the game that we are learning to play, spades, all right? So there are 4 suits, 2 black, 2 red, all right? So we got hearts, diamonds, clubs, spades. Those are our 4 suits. So make sure that you understand what suit is when you're sitting down at the table. You'll know what each suit is. They're very simple to remember. Diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, okay? So now that we know what suits are, now we need to know how to organize a hand. All right, so any hand of spades is going to have 13 cards in it, okay? When the dealer deals those cards out to you, they're going to come to you in whatever way they come, and that means that they're probably not going to be organized. So you're going to get a hand, and it's going to look something like this. All right, as you see, I have spades, diamonds, clubs, and hearts all mixed in with each other. So the first thing that you want to do when you get your cards is you want to organize your hand. Put your hand together is what you'll typically hear people say. Put your hand together. Put your hand in order. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some simple organization. We're going to put all of our clubs together, put all of our hearts together, diamonds and spades. Now, the best way to do this, and this is the way that I tell everybody that I teach to play spades how to do it, is to alternate your red and your black cards. So you want to put your diamonds next to your spades, next to your hearts, next to your clubs. You don't want to put your spades and your clubs next to each other, because if you're playing spades and maybe you've been drinking a little bit, those spades and those clubs might look kind of similar. And so everything starts blending together on you if you had a few drinks in you. So I'm going to show you what an organized hand looks like. So we're going to start here on the far end. We got clubs. All our clubs are together. All of our hearts are together. Our one lonely spade, black queen domino, and then we got our diamonds at the end. Okay, but this is what an organized hand should look like. This is what you should do as soon as your cards are dealt out to you. Put them in order. This prevents you from making mistakes. It also makes it easier for you to bid your hand because you know what you're looking at. All right, we'll get to bidding in a little bit, but the first thing you're going to do, as soon as your cards are dealt out to you, you're going to organize your hand. Before you talk to your partner and figure out what you guys are bidding, before you start calculating things, put your hand together. This will help you from making mistakes. This will help you from reneging because you don't have your cards in order and you didn't see that spade that was hiding behind that diamond, or things like that. Put your hand in order before you do anything else. Now that we understand how suits work, now we need to understand what the hierarchy is for those suits, okay? So give me 1 second while I separate some things, because the hierarchy matters. And there's a standard ranking system for all cards, but right now we're gonna focus on 2 suits in particular, just so I can show the difference. All right. So the first thing that you need to know is that there's a numerical aspect to spades, meaning that you need to understand how many of each suit there are, because you need to know what's still out there, what hasn't been played yet, and what's still to be played, All right, so each suit has a certain number of cards in it. So in particular, hearts and diamonds, because we took out the 2 of hearts and the 2 of diamonds, we'll have 12 cards in that suit. So when you start at the ace and you go all the way down to the 3 of diamonds or 3 of hearts, that counts up to 12 of that suit. For clubs, you have 13 because we didn't take any cards out. So from the ace all the way down to the 2, there are 13 clubs. In spades, however, there are 15. That's very important for you to remember. But before we get into all of that and the math of it and everything like that, that is a more advanced thing for you to think about. You just need to be aware of that fact that there's differences in the numbers of each card. So we're going to look at first diamonds, right? Okay, so the hierarchy or the order of diamonds, and I'm missing a diamond. Hold on 1 second. Where's that king at? There you are. All right. Oh, the king is Wolverine. That's pretty cool. All right. So the hierarchy for every suit except spades. So we're talking diamonds, clubs, and hearts. The highest of that is always going to be the ace. So ace beats every other diamond that's out there. The next up is going to be the king. King is second in command, followed by the queen, followed by the jack, and then we go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 all the way down. Okay? So remember, for every suit that is not spades, it's going to be ace, king, queen, jack, 10 on down. Okay? Now, why did I differentiate between spades and the other suits? Well, because spades are different. The game is called Spades. So, again, we are going in a black household, and in black households, we play with jokers, all right? So, in spades, the top dog is the big joker, okay? Usually, this will have a letter B or the word big on it to indicate that it is the big joker, but this is the big kahuna. So, the big joker is the most powerful card in the game. It trumps any other card that's played out there. So it doesn't matter if the other 3 cards played are aces. If this card is out there, it's going to win the hand. Okay? And a winning hand is called a book. We'll get to that in a second. After the big joker, we have the little joker. This is junior, joker junior, okay? Now, this is where things can get a little confusing for some people, but you just need to learn this. You just need to memorize it, commit it to memory, because this is important. The next most powerful card is the 2 of spades. This is known as the deuce of spades, all right? We call this the deuce. We don't call it the 2. It is a 2, but we call it the deuce of spades. So whenever you play spades, you'll hear people say joker, joker, deuce. That lets you know the hierarchy of spades, and that lets you know the type of spades you're going to be playing, all right? So joker, joker, deuce lets you know that the 3 highest spades are joker, joker, and the deuce of spades. Then after that, it's going to be the ace of spades, and it's going to follow the same hierarchy as the other suits. After joker, joker, deuce is going to be ace, and then king, followed by queen, and then jack 10 on down. Okay, so remember, in spades, there are 15 spades of the suit in the game, all right? Now, if you are playing by a different set of rules, for example, if you're playing with somebody who doesn't have jokers, that's called like the internet spades way. If you're playing with people who don't have jokers, then that number is going to go down to 13. And they may play that the deuce is not a high card, the deuce is a low card. Always make sure whenever you sit down at a table that you make sure you understand what rules are played at that house. House rules are always the rules that matter. What I'm teaching you is basically the standard rules that apply to most households that play spades. But everybody has house rules, and those rules are law, okay? So remember that. For spades, it's going to be joker, joker, deuce, ace, king, going down. For every other suit, it's going to be ace, king, queen, and so forth. Now, when I talked about spades before, I said spades are trump cards. What do I mean by trump cards? It's very simple. I'm going to show you. Now, in a typical hand of spades, everybody is going to play whatever suit led, and that's what's going to be what dictates who plays first. So the person to the left of you goes first. If you're the dealer, if they play the ace, that ace of diamonds, now everybody else has to play a diamond. All right, so the way it's going to go is the person after them is going to play another diamond. The person after them is going to play another diamond. The person after them will play another diamond. So now everyone has played one diamond, and this is one hand that has gone by. The collection of this hand is called one book, okay? So it's called a book, B-O-O-K. So one book has now been collected, and whoever had the highest card in that, which it was the ace, is the winner of that book. So if I played an ace, then that book now belongs to me. However, let's say that the person to the left plays king of diamonds, and the person to the right, left of them, plays a 10 of diamonds, and then another diamond comes out, but the last person doesn't have a diamond, they have a spade. And I'm going to play the smallest spade I got, which is the 3 of spades. This spade is a trump card. What this trump card means is that it takes priority over other suits. So it doesn't matter if this was diamonds, hearts, or clubs. If this spade comes out and it's the only spade out there, this spade is going to win. Now, of course, if everybody is playing a spade, the highest spade is going to win. But if this is the only spade out here, this spade is a trump card and it beats the suit that's on the board. So the spade wins the book. All right, we're going to show that one more time. Diamond is played. Another diamond is played. Another diamond is played. Only if you do not have any more diamonds can you play a spade. If that person doesn't have diamonds and they play a spade, then they win because spades take precedent over other suits. You got it? Trying to get this book together and don't want to cooperate. All right, so that's the way that the ranking system, the hierarchy system works in spades. You have ace, king, queen on down for the 3 suits that are not trumps, and that is diamonds, hearts, and clubs. Outside of that, spades starts with joker, joker, deuce, then goes to the ace. And those spades will always beat trumps of that other suit. Okay? All right, so we've gone over what are suits. We've gone over the hierarchy of suits. Now we need to know, how is the game even played, right? All right, so you've played a few hands, you've bid your hands, or done the best that you can, and you've been successful. But on this current hand, let's say that you bid something that you didn't quite have. So sounds like you're about to get set. Set. What is set? So every hand you start off and you bid how many you and your partner believe that you're going to get. That bid is a prediction, and that's what you are expected to get. It's like a projection. If you fall short of that projection, meaning if we said we were going to get 8 and we only got 7, then we, instead of adding to our score, we actually lose points. We lose this bid that we said we were going to get. So if you bid 8 and you don't get 8, anything less than 8, you lose 80 points. You don't get 80 points. So that is what it means to be set. So whenever you are bidding, it's very important to make sure that, one, you bid accurately. You don't want to bid too far underneath, because you can be punished for that as well. But you don't want to bid too much, because if you bid too much and you can't cover, then you're going to lose points. So it's very important to make sure that you accurately bid your hand. Now, once you subscribe to the channel, I'm going to have a whole section just on bidding books, just on how to bid, how to view cards, how to look at all of this stuff. All right, I'm going to give a whole bunch of scenarios on what you need to look for bidding. But for now, we're going to do just a basic crash course on how to bid. Okay, so I'm going to look at a different hand. Instead of the hand that I looked at before, we're going to organize this hand. And I'm going to show you some basics as to how you want to bid your hand. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is remember the hierarchy of each suit. Okay. So things start with aces. Okay. So we're going to show this hand. Oh, hold on. Not fully together. All right, now I'm going to show this hand. Let's start at this end. Got one spade. So the fact that I have one spade, I'm not going to get many books with this. In fact, I probably won't get any books with this. So we're not going to count that. I'm going to slide this back here. All right. Now what do we have? We've got an ace of diamonds and the king of diamonds. So we could probably get 2 with that. Okay, probably. We're going to look at that a little bit deeper in a little bit. All right, we're going to keep going. Sorry. We're doing this in reverse. All right. So now we look at clubs. All right. Not really any books in clubs. In fact, there are no books in clubs. So right now we're at a count of 2. All right. We've got 2 books based off of what we've seen in our hand. And then the last thing, we have the king of hearts. So that is another one that probably will win. So we have the ace and king of diamonds and the king of hearts. So just a simple way to look at things. Aces, usually you're going to count it as 1. As a suit has been played, the probability of the next card in that suit winning goes down. So let's say if we were to view all aces as a 95% chance of winning. And that's probably a pretty good way to look at it. There's the only thing in spades that has a 100% chance of winning is the big joker. So let's say all aces have a 95% chance of winning. Once we go around the table once, now we have fewer cards of that suit. So that means that the kings have a lessened chance of passing. So let's say kings have a 75% chance of passing. 75% is still really, really good in spades. Once we get to queens, we're at a less than 50% chance of passing. So we're not going to count queens. And in kings, you have to be mindful of how many of that suit you have. So let's say that all I had was the ace and the king of that suit that I was just talking about. Well, if all I had was the ace and the king, then it's a pretty high chance that both of those are going to walk. In fact, I would say the ace would be 95%. King is probably about 90% to 85%, somewhere in that range. But if I had an ace and a king and 5 other cards of that suit, well, now even the ace starts to get a little iffy, because that means that somebody else might not have that suit, which means that it could get cut earlier than expected. For the sake of argument, though, we would expect most suits to go around at least 2.5 times, okay? I know the 2.5 is a weird way to look at it, but the way that I teach it is that you would expect that most suits to go around at least 2.5 times. So if we're going to say each suit goes around 2.5 times, you would say that most aces and kings in most circumstances are going to be counted as books. So I have an ace, a king, and another king. So I'm going to say I have 3 books in this instance. Now, this is a very simplistic way to look at bidding just for teaching this video. But, I'll go more advanced later on. But for now, for the sake of argument, we're going to say that I have 3 books. All right. Now I'm going to organize this other hand, and we're actually going to play this hand out so that we can see how close we are to being right. Okay. So I'm going to divide some stuff up here. Oh, that's a pretty nice little hand right there. I'm just getting all the hands together. All right. All right. So this would be a very interesting spades hand if it was played out, but I'm going to show just the basics of kind of what we're going to be looking at here. So this is my hand, and I'm going to keep all of the books that I make on this side. All right. So with this, the first thing I'm going to lead with is that ace. Now, again, we dealt the cards out at random, so I don't know what anybody else has. And just like I was saying, nothing is 100%. This person doesn't have any diamonds. So I led with the ace of diamonds. This person doesn't have any diamonds. So they play a spade early. All right. Spades usually don't break that early, but they can. Anything is possible. And again, the only card that is 100% is that big joker. All right. So this wasn't my book, so I'm setting it off to the side over here. All right. So this person is now going to follow up with their own ace. They had played the ace of clubs. Typical strategy, you want to go ahead and get your winning books out the way early, because you don't want to hold on to them and then they not work later on. All right, so something interesting just happened here. Everybody played clubs except for this person. They played a heart. Now, why did they play a heart? All right, this is called throwing off. Okay, I'll explain what throwing off is in a little bit. But for now, I just want you to know this is called throwing off, and I'll show you what it is in a little bit. All right. So that is also a hand that we didn't win. Okay. They're going to follow back with the king. All right. This is a very interesting hand. Excuse me. Played the wrong card there. All right. I actually would have loved to have my opponent's hand if this was an actual spades game, because yeah, they have a hand that is set to cause some chaos. All right. All right, so they just got the first 4 books off the bat. That was totally totally unexpected, but that's how it shook out. So now they're gonna go here. They're going here. And ace has been played. So they're just racking up books with ace. Okay. All right. So I'll speed some of this up in post because I want to be doing more teaching than anything. All right, so we played that hand out, and of the 3 books that I thought I was gonna get, I only got 2 of them. That's because the person to the left of me was cutting diamonds right off the bat. So that ace didn't even walk. I was able to get the kings to win at the end of the game, but that ace didn't even walk. So that's one of those rare occurrences that, you know, it can happen like that sometimes. Not the best example for what I'm trying to show for bidding, but you know, it can happen. So again, 95% chance for aces. Like I said, that 5% was super, you know, funny that it happened on this part of the video, but you know, it can happen. The purpose of the game of spades is for you and your partner to reach the target score before your opponent and their partner. Typical games of spades are played to 250 points, 350 points, or 500 points. It just depends on where you are and how much time you got. So, for the sake of argument, I like to play all of my games to 500. I think that's a full game. And so, a game to 500 is what a lot of people will play to. And so the goal for me and my partner is to reach 500 before the other team, all right? And so the way we do that is we bid, or we contemplate before a hand is played how many books we think we can win as a collective. The scoring system is done in multiples of 10. So if my partner and I say that we're gonna get 7 books and we get our 7 books, then that is 70 points, okay? So remember, multiples of 10. So if you say you're gonna bid 6, that's 60 points. Now, for some people, and a lot of people actually, if you bid 10, you get 200 points. It's kind of like a bonus for getting something that typically isn't easy to get. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We'll look at stuff like that later. All right, so for now, I just want you to understand that the goal is to get to whatever your goal score is. So if it's 500, the goal is to get to 500 before the other team. The goal is to keep getting as many books as possible until you reach that score, and you got to beat the other team there. So I'm going to deal out a hand, and for the sake of argument, we're just going to go through the motions of what all will happen. So the first thing that's going to happen is the dealer is going to deal. We've already shuffled and cut. All right. So I am the dealer. I have to be the last one to get a card. All right. And we're not going to do any cross dealing, anything fancy. We're just going to keep everything simple because we are learning. All right. All right. So if you remember, the first thing we said we were going to do is we're going to organize our hand. Okay. So we're going to get our cards together. As you see right now, nothing is organized. We're going to organize this. Okay. So we're going to alternate between black and red. We're going to put all of our black cards together. We're going to put all of our red cards together, and we're going to alternate between them. All right, so this is what my hand looks like once everything has been organized. Okay? And this is a very interesting hand. I'm not going to get into the specifics of how to bid this hand. I'm just going to go through the process of what it looks like when you're bidding a hand. All right? So, now, let's say that there are 3 other people sitting around this table. Wait a minute. Let's say that there are 3 other people sitting around the table with me. They've all organized their hands. Everybody is ready to play. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to bid our hands. So because I dealt, the other team to the left of me is going to bid first. It's kind of like a gentlemanly thing to do or whatever. So they're going to bid their hands. And let's say for the sake of teaching that they bid 6. That means that they talked amongst themselves and they said, well, I think I can get 2 books. I think I can get 4 books. Together we can get 6 books. Now I look to my partner and I say how many books I have. So I'm going to look at my hand, and based off of my hand, I'm going to get probably 4 books. I'm going to look at my partner's hand just because. And this is something I'll be showing you guys how to do when you're practicing on your own as well. But for now, I'm just going to do it. All right. And so my partner would have 3 books. So we would go 7 as a collective. All right. So I have 4 books. My partner has 3 books. Together, we have 7 books. All right. Now, it's very important to understand who you're playing with and their playing style. That's something I'll go over in later videos, talking about choosing your partner, understanding their play style and things like that. But for now, we're just going to trust that my partner knows what they're doing, trust that I know what I'm doing. If they said 3, they got 3. I said 4, I got 4. And that's what we're going to go with. So we're saying we got 7 together as a collective. All right, so remember, the goal of the game is to get to 500 before the other team. So the other team starts playing their cards, and for the sake of argument, we're not going to actually play this hand out because it's just me right here. But for the sake of argument, let's say that they get their 6 and we get our 7. That's 13 books, okay? So remember the number 13. When you deal out the cards to everybody, there are When you deal out the cards to everybody, there are 13 cards in each hand. And when you finish each round of spades, there are 13 books total. So it doesn't matter how you do it, how it's played, who gets what. The most that anyone can ever have is always got to add up to 13. So even if it's one team gets all 13 and one team gets 0 books, you're never going to have more than 13 books. Now, just because the reality is you only have 13 does not mean that you can't bid something that equals more than 13. So If I think we have 7, if me and my partner have 7, and the other team also thinks they have 7, then both teams have the ability to bid 7. But only one of them is going to be right. Somebody's going to be wrong. We'll talk about what happens when you're wrong in the next part. For now, though, we're going to assume that we got our 7 and they got their 6. And so the score after this round would be 70 to 60. Okay? All right, let's go to the next part. All right, so what is throwing off? So the big thing about spades is that you got to remember that it is a team game. And so the one thing you don't want to do is cannibalize your partner. So if your partner is winning a book, and let's say you're out of that suit, you don't want to throw a spade if your partner is winning the book. It's very important to pay attention to what's been played, because a quick way to get somebody mad at you at the spades table is to not be paying attention to what they're doing. Because you're not allowed to verbally tell your partner, hey, I played this card. All you got to do is say, hey, you just got to play your hand, play the cards that you're dealt. You cannot tell your partner, that's called talking across the board. You cannot tell your partner what you played or what was played by whom, okay? So pay attention, always watch what's going on the board. All right, so 6 of diamonds, all right? King of diamonds. Let's say the king of diamonds was played by my partner. The 9 of diamonds was played by the other player, all right? And so I have 2 cards in my hand. So if the 2 cards I have are a spade and a club, and my partner is winning, I'm gonna throw off, meaning I'm gonna throw a card that I don't need, that is not a spade, for 2 reasons. 1, so me and my partner don't do what's called bumping heads. So we bump heads when we both are trying to win the same book when one of us was already winning it. All right. The other thing that we're trying to do is we want to conserve our spades. If we don't have to use a spade, why would we do it? All right. So you don't want to play a spade if your partner has already won the book and you know for a fact that they've won the book. Now, if there's somebody playing behind you and you're not sure if they're going to win the book or not, you can take that chance. You can risk it if you want to, but at that point, you also got to play to win. So you have to make a decision. That's a business decision you got to make. But if your partner has won the book and you have spades and no more of that suit, then the best option for you is to throw off. And that means throw a card away that you don't need. So that doesn't mean throw away aces and kings, because those can still win later on. But if you got a 4 or 5 of some suit that you're not going to win books in, get rid of it. That's the time for you to throw it away. So we've talked about how to play the game. We've talked about bidding at a basic level. And we've talked about kind of what it looks like when a hand is played. Now we need to talk about 2 things: cutting and reneging. We're going to talk about them together because they impact each other. So the first thing we're going to talk about is cutting. What does it mean to cut? You cut whenever you play a spade on any suit that is not spades. So if everybody around me plays a heart, heart played, heart played. Let me find the heart. Heart played, okay. Boom. Everybody's played a heart and my partner isn't winning this. Meaning the other team will win this book. But I'm out of hearts. If I am out of hearts and I have a spade to play, boom, I play it. Now I have cut hearts. What does that mean? That means that 1, I've declared that I ain't got no more hearts. It also means that this book belongs to me. Now, you can only cut. Look at me. You can only cut if you have no more cards in that suit. This is why it's important to make sure that you organize your hand before you start playing, all right? because you don't want your spades and your diamonds and your clubs to be all mixed up. And then you're like, oops, I didn't realize I had this spade here, because a lot of people don't play that. Once a spade hits the table, it's on the table. Spades stick, okay? Remember that saying, spades stick. So you want to make sure your hand is organized, and when you play a spade, you truly have no more of that suit, okay? Now, what happens if you play a spade, but you still had more of that suit? That, ladies and gentlemen, is called reneging, okay? And reneging has some pretty serious consequences. And those consequences are books. If you play a spade, so let's show you what it looks like. Boom, boom, boom. And then, all right. I'm gonna be a simple person that doesn't understand things, and I'm gonna be stupid, okay? Ace is played, king is played, 6 is played, and I play a spade, okay? I just cut hearts. On the very next play, I play a heart. Well, guess what? I just reneged. Now, because I played it on the very next play, everybody is gonna know, oh, it's the cards, it's the book you just got, right? The punishment for reneging is 3 books to the other team. So if they weren't paying attention and didn't realize it, then, maybe I get away with murder. But anybody who was decent at spades is gonna realize, hey, you just cut hearts and you just played a heart, you reneged. So they're gonna say, give me 3 books. Now, most places you have to call the book, meaning you have to say which book I reneged. You gotta touch it, you flip it over and prove, yes, you reneged right here, okay. Once you have proven that, they get to take 1, 2, 3 books. And those books now count towards their score, and they count against your score. So that means that if you had 5 and you were supposed to be getting 8, well, now you only got 2, and you got to figure out how to come up with 6 more books. So it is very important to not renege. Make sure that if you are cutting a book, it's because you truly have no more of that suit, okay? I cannot emphasize to you enough. Do not be a person that is known as a reneger. I know how that sounds, but do not be known as somebody who reneges on a regular basis. You're not going to get many people who want to play with you if you keep reneging. So pay attention to what's going on. Organize your hands so that you can avoid this mistake. And don't renege. Don't cut unless you're absolutely missing something, all right? So those are the basics. We're gonna go through one more summary So those are the basics. We're gonna go through a summary of how to play the game of spades from beginning to end, so you know everything you need to know how to play the game, okay? So with this, again, this is a basic crash course, but this should be able to at least get you on the table as long as you paid attention to everything. So now, the game of spades is played with 52 cards, all right? So get your deck of cards, boom. Let's play with 52 cards. You're gonna take out the 2 of hearts and the 2 of diamonds, all right? Boom. You're gonna take these out. Once you've taken those out, you gotta make sure that you got 4 people to play with, or 3 other people, including yourself. You pick your partner, they pick their partner, you guys sit down at the table, make sure you get pen and paper too, all right? Once you've picked your partners and you've decided what y'all are playing to, for the sake of argument, we're gonna play one hand right here, and that one hand is gonna be winner take all. But typically you'll pay for play to either 250, 350, 500. Somebody plays the 400, that's like weird, and I don't know what's up. But 250, 350, 500 is typically what you're going to play to. For the sake of argument, for this and for teaching purposes, we're going to play first hand bid itself, and it's going to be the only hand because whoever gets the most is going to be the team that wins. I'm going to play all 4 hands. I know that seems awkward, but that's also something I'm going to teach you guys how to do to practice. So this is how you get good on your own, okay? So we're going to set it down. Boop. Person to the right of me, which is me, is going to cut. And then I'm going to deal clockwise. Each person is going to get 1 card. Everybody should end up with 13 cards when I'm done dealing. And the dealer should always get the last card. If the dealer does not get the last card, or if everybody does not get 13 cards, then that is what is known as a misdeal. And you have to deal the cards again, usually passing the deal to the next person, all right? So this next part, we're gonna do it, but I'm gonna speed it up a little bit just so that it can be done quickly. All right, so now we're about to play this game. This is gonna be our tutorial game, just for the purposes of showing you. I'll show you more stuff later, but for now, for this crash course, this is gonna be the tutorial, 1 hand, just to show how everything is played, and we're gonna talk through everything as we're playing. All right. So me being the dealer, the person to the left of me is going to go first. Now, if this was a full game and we were past the first hand, then my partner and I would discuss and debate and determine how many books we have. But because we're doing first hand bid itself, and because we're only doing 1 hand, we're not going to actually do any bidding. We're just going to play, and whoever gets the most books between me and my partner and these other 2, that's the winning team. All right. So for my books, we're going to set them back here so they can be seen. Or for my team's books, they're going to be set back here. The other books are going to be set off to the side. And we know that we need at least 7 to have the most books. Okay. So this person is going to get to go first. All right. So they're going to start there. All right. My partner had the ace, and so they played the ace to beat the jack, okay? Because no one else would be able to beat an ace without cutting, meaning they would have to have no diamonds left. Everyone else is going to throw out their lowest diamond because who knows, maybe at the end of the game, a 9 could end up winning. So you're going to throw off the card that you least expect to win because you do have to play a diamond if you have one. Our team got this. So we're going to put it right here. All right. Now, the person who won gets to go again. They lead for the next round. And so my partner won. And so they play another ace. So this is the ace of hearts. Now, this is what I meant when I said before that if you have aces and face cards, you want to go ahead and get those winning books out the way. So my partner had 1 ace and followed up with another ace. And that's a smart strategy. You want to go ahead and get those books out of the way, so that way there's no guesswork into what you're playing at. My partner typically would have told me how many books that they had, and so now when I start to see those books actualize, I know, okay, if they said they had 3 and they've already got 2 out the way, now I know my partner has at least 1 more book left somewhere, okay? Now in this hand, again, we didn't bid, but my partner winning the hand, they get to go again, and they followed with another ace. And so everybody else, as long as they have a card of that suit, they have to play one. So I do not have any clubs in this hand, in my hand. And so because my partner is winning and I don't want to bump heads, I don't want to cut my partner, I'm going to throw off. Now, the card that I'm choosing to throw off is a suit that I want to start cutting sooner. And so I threw off hearts, all right? Now, I'm not communicating this to my partner, but this is my strategy and this is my thinking. I'll go more into this when I start doing more advanced videos, all right? This person has a club, so they have to play one. So my partner and I collect this book as well. Now, any good partner would realize if he threw off, that means that he's cutting, so I'm gonna go back. This is known as feeding your partner. Talk about this when I talk about partner strategies later on. So he threw out a club, one that he didn't care whether it gets cut or doesn't get cut. This person is going to play a queen because they're gonna try and win the book. Then I'm gonna play a spade, all right? So now spades have been broken, meaning that spades have officially entered the realm of play, all right? So that means that I don't have any clubs, which I established when I threw off on the last hand. And so they shouldn't see any more clubs come out of my hand, but that also lets everybody know that spades can now be played. All right, so now that I've won, I'm gonna play another card and I'm going to go to hearts, all right? And so this person plays a heart. The other team has not won a book yet. So we've won the first 4 books. My partner is gonna play the queen. Now the king has been played. And so the other team wins this one. We're just gonna set it off to the side. All right. He follows with the king of diamonds. And so my partner had all the aces. It looks like this guy had all the kings. I'm gonna play a 7 of diamonds because I do have a diamond. His partner does not have a diamond. And so he's gonna throw off a heart. Now, the strategy behind why he threw off a heart is because 1, I'm cutting hearts, and 2, because he plays behind me. So that gives him an opportunity to beat whatever spade that I played out. But we'll talk about that later on. Again, make sure you guys subscribe and follow the channel to learn more about how to play spades. All right, so they just won their second book. Now, because his partner was cutting diamonds, he could go back to diamonds, but he's gonna go ahead and get his other king out the way. He had one more king, and so he's gonna play that king. That proves to be a mistake because I'm cutting clubs, okay? So, another club. Another club, all right? And so, now, diamond has been played. His partner does not have diamonds, so his partner cuts. Does my partner have any diamonds? They do, so this is another book for them, all right? All right, so now it's just clubs and spades. His partner, knowing that I'm cutting clubs, is going to avoid clubs, so he's gonna go to spades, all right? Which sometimes that's the smart play. If you don't see a way that you can win the book yourself, sometimes the best way to move is defensively, and that's if you can't win a book, go away from the books that you know that the other team is gonna get. Talk about that more when we talk strategy. So my partner can't beat the 10 of spades. Their partner throws out a joker. I can't beat a joker, so I throw out a jack, all right? So they won that one. Their partner goes back to spades because all they have is spades and clubs, and they know that I'm cutting clubs. I throw out the ace of spades. Their partner throws out the joker. My partner throws out their last spade, all right? So 2 jokers and an ace are gone. They throw out the queen, trying to, again, run away from me because they know I have clubs. My partner doesn't have any more spades. So if you don't have any more spades, you have to throw out what you can. This is another form of throwing off, but it's not the good kind. That just means that you're basically out of the game. Their partner throws out the 9 of spades. I win with the king of spades. I then come back with the deuce of spades, trying to take their last spades. And so club is played because they don't have any more spades. Diamond is played because they don't have any more spades. And the club is played because nobody else has any more spades. And so this is a very interesting thing, because if no spades are played, but everyone has different suits, then whoever leads is the suit that everyone has to play. So because I won the last book, I have a queen of diamonds. The only way for any of them to win is for them to have a higher diamond. The 8 of clubs, 10 of hearts, and the 10 of clubs. So I win this last book as well. So when we count it all up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. 8 is over half the books. So, you know, we needed 7 in order to be a winning hand. We got 8. And so we won. This is our win. Now, again, there are a lot more strategies, a lot more tactics that we can go over with spades. I'm going to be putting out a spades guide. I'll be putting out a spades guide, the W.A.S.S.U.P spades guide. W.A.S.S.U.P stands for W.A.S.S strategically. Spades Ultimate Playbook. So I'll be putting that out very soon, but for now, subscribe, follow, like the videos, and, you know, continue to support. If you know someone who doesn't know how to play spades, this is the video for them. If you don't know how to play spades, this is the video for you. This is our crash course, and we'll be back with more videos on how to play spades and win strategically in a little while.